Well, good morning. This is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred. Really glad you could join Bailey and I today out here in the vegetable garden. It's a beautiful day here in September. You know, and this garden season is just flying by. You know, and so today I just wanted to share with you a message about the return of the morning glory vine. So thanks for joining me today out here in the garden. So anyhow, 2 years ago, my wife and I, we bought a pack of seeds at a local Ace hardware store on morning glories. We had never grown morning glories out in our garden, and we know how beautiful they really are, and so not last summer or last spring, but the spring before, we planted these in the garden, really hoping we were gonna direct sow them out in the garden and that they were gonna grow okay. We had never grown them before. So anyhow, throughout the season, they grew really well. They grew up and over this arbor behind me, and we grew them in another arbor where my garden structure is. And you can see how beautiful they are. They're a beautiful morning glory flower, and they attract some nice pollinator bees and everything else for the garden. But the problem is what I've experienced is I no longer plant these in my garden. It's been 2 years since I've planted these in my garden, and yet we're still getting these morning glory vines. They're scattered all through the garden. And so that's why they've returned again this year. As often as we try to pull them out of unwanted areas, they still keep on coming back. What happens is, like when I first grew these, it just literally covered this whole trellis. So come the end of the season, when they dry and they come to seed, you tear them off the trellis here, but the seeds end up scattering everywhere. And so let me show you what I mean. I'm going to grab the camera and show you where I have these morning glory vines growing all over my garden. Although my wife and I, the last couple years, we've spent a couple hours pulling out thousands of these plants. But we're not getting as many this year. But the last couple years, they were just like carpeting the garden beds. So I have here my corner trellis, and last spring we grew a clematis vine here because we also had grown a morning glory vine up this. And as many times as we still keep on pulling out these little plants, you can see one right here. That's a morning glory plant trying to grow. You can see here that this morning glory is still growing from other seeds. And again, they just take over. So, I just wanted to share with you a little bit of caution here in growing these at your house. So let's go take a look at some more areas. So right to the left of my trellis, I have another area here among these cactus that, again, these seeds have just fallen in between this cactus and I can't even get them out of there, but you can see how they're just growing on their own here, year after year. I mean, they are pretty, and in some areas I don't mind them coming back, but it's in those unexpected areas where they become a problem. And you can see out here on my garden structure, I also have another morning glory vine growing up there, and these are also volunteers. And that's the problem, you end up having volunteer plants growing all over your garden. And then over here where I have my butternut squash growing, I also have some more morning glories growing, and so they just have taken over the gardens, and just something I would caution you about growing these. Also behind me I have more growing. And so behind me here, where I have this other raised bed, I have some canna lilies and some Swiss chard. Again, another volunteer morning glory. Now this one actually worked out to my benefit. It's pretty nice. And you can see I also have them growing here. You know, they just seem to take off everywhere. Again, those seeds fall everywhere and they scatter in your mulch areas. And here's another area over here that I have some more tiny morning glory seedlings coming up. And so anyhow, I just wanted to share with you some of my experiences with these beautiful morning glory flowers. And just, you know, if you do plant them, be prepared that, you know, when you remove them at the end of the season, you know, you may have seeds falling everywhere, you know, and then they're going to be popping up everywhere. So I just wanted to send a little word of caution your way. So anyhow, if you have any questions or comments about this video, feel free to leave them in the section below. And I hope you have a wonderful day. So until next time, this is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred.